we are 11 days away from the return of the former heavyweight champion of the world, the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder, as he squares off against the Nordic Nightmare, Robert Helenius. It all comes your way in 11 days' time, October 15th from Barclays Center in Brooklyn. A tremendous night of boxing. It is Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view. We are very excited about what is to come. The main event, and as we get going live on pay-per-view at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. Tickets are on sale now. They can be purchased at SeatGeek.com, BarclaysCenter.com, or if you are in the New York, New Jersey area, you can get them in person at the American Express box office at Barclays Center. It's all being presented by Premier Boxing Champions, promoted by Bomb Squad Promotions and TGB Promotions. I want to introduce one half of our main event of the evening. This man has had quite a bit of success at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, most recently scoring back-to-back knockout wins over Adam Kovnatsky, including a March 2020 triumph at Barclays Center. This guy has been among the top of the heap when it comes to the best heavyweights in Europe for well over a decade. This guy just continues to fight anybody and everybody and is among the elite in the heavyweight division. His record, 30 wins, 3 losses, 19 wins coming by way of knockout, representing Mariehamn, Finland, and is no doubt looking for the biggest win of his professional career. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Nordic Nightmare, Robert Helenius. Robert, how are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. Finally in Brooklyn again. It feels good.
Robert, now I know that Barclays Center is a place, an arena that holds very good memories for you because of what you were able to do against Adam Kovnatsky in March of 2020, right before the pandemic. But what does it mean for you to be returning to an arena that you had so much success in what is going to be the biggest fight of your career?
Well, it feels good. I've been training good. The training camp went really well, so I feel ready for this. And I've been doing everything in my power to be my best self.
I know that you are preparing for training, but when did you get here to Brooklyn, and how long have you been here? And tell us about, your mindset to get here, at least 11, almost 2 weeks before your fight.
Yeah, so we came, I think, last Saturday, and been training just some small training just to keep everything going and try to keep the time difference to not feel so severe. But now today we're gonna train even later in the evening, so we get used to the time difference. It's a 7-hour difference from where I am, so yeah, it starts to feel much better today already. So I'm getting there.
How excited are you for this opportunity to be able to take on a former sparring partner in Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, I feel tremendously lucky, and yeah, I like you said, I've been in this game a long time. Like 2010, 2011, I was knocking out Lemon Brewster, Samuel Peter, Sergey Liankovic, and other guys like that. After that, I got a severe injury, and I was gone for a long time. And now it's the first time I feel I'm back in the business.
Do you feel like people don't remember those big moments in your career? Because in the lead up, I've known about you for a long time, and many people have as well. But, people that are, newer fans, or, it's all about what have you done for me lately. And I feel like that win against Kovnatsky in 2020 puts you back on the map. But do you feel like people have forgotten about what you've been able to do? Because in the research, I mean, you have been a top 10 heavyweight for well over 10 years.
Yeah, thank you. I think people forget that I have been doing also bad fights after my comeback, so I don't blame them that they have given some fans already gave up their hopes and dreams for me. So, and I understand them. I did not do good for myself after it took like 7-8 years to get back to normally. Training after the big operation on my shoulder. So yeah, and I'm 38 years old. I have a couple of years more to give, so why not give you all?
How excited are you, or how excited is your home region of Norway and Finland in that area for this opportunity? I'm sure they're all going to be watching. You mentioned that it's about a 7 or 8 hour difference. I'm sure they're going to be up, early in the morning watching your fight against Deontay Wilder. But, what has the response been back home for you?
Well, I'm not a social media guy or a media guy. I don't like doing this media stuff, but it's part of the job. But what I've heard from others telling the stories, they are very excited and very enthusiastically cheering me on. So I'm gonna bring it.
Why do you feel you're going to be successful against Deontay Wilder in 11 days' time on Saturday, October 15th?
Well, I have had a long career, and I know how I feel before fights and how good I've been training and stuff like that. So I feel more comfortable and confidence in this fight than I have felt in a very long time.
Is it because of the fact that you do hold those 2 wins over Kovnatsky and you have momentum coming into the fight?
Yeah, that was a key fight for me to win. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here. So of course, that's one way of looking at it.
All right, right now I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Roberts, one of the members of our outstanding PR team, for questions from the media. If you have a question, make sure to raise your hand. When we call upon you, unmute yourself and ask your question to the Nordic Nightmare, Robert Helenius. Andrew?
Thanks very much, Ray. Our first question is going to come from Keith Ida. Keith, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question. Keith, you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Robert, thanks for taking the time. Can you tell us how you were able, it looked like, after your loss to Gerald Washington, of course, it looked like that could be the end of the road for you. How were you able to bounce back from that loss and put yourself into what's a great position next Saturday night?
Well, I don't take that fight really seriously because I wasn't my own self in that fight. I've been really sick that week before the fight, so I knew only I could know what went wrong in that fight. So I don't know. Just keep on working.
In hindsight, do you think maybe you should have pulled out of the fight because you were sick that week, or?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And Robert, can you just tell us, I know you're both very familiar with each other because you've sparred with each other so many times, but can you tell us, do you see it as an advantage knowing so much about Deontay, or does it kind of even out because he knows so much about you as well?
Well, yeah, of course. He was preparing for a tall guy like me, so it was to his advantage. I was training for a different kind of fighter, Adam Kolnachi, so I wasn't really paying attention a lot, but of course, some things get stuck with you and you learn stuff about each other always when you're sparring, but fight is always a fight, so it's different.
This is my last question for you, Robert. When you're in there sparring, obviously you're wearing bigger gloves, of course, and sometimes you're just working things out and not necessarily going as hard as possible, but how does his punching power compare to, you fought a lot of top level guys. How does Deontay's punching power, which is revered, of course, how does it compare to other guys that you fought?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's difficult to say because like you said, we have gloves on and bigger gloves and the headgear on, so yeah. I don't know. He's very fast, so he's not maybe like really what would you say, like some people punch with really hard power and force, but I think he's more of fast power guy. Explosiveness is his, I think, the most best thing about him.
Okay, great.
All right. Oh, sorry there, Keith. Thank you, Keith. We appreciate that. Our next question is going to come from James Bell with the Boxing Source. James, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
All right. To Robert, what would you say is a key factor here for you in this particular fight? I know that you've had your 2 wins over Adam Kalnacki, but could you say that your amount of experience also plays a factor here in your upcoming fight against Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, I would hope so. I have a 250 fights amateur, so I have a long experience behind me. But of course, everything that I have ever done in my boxing career has led me here. So, I think I just have to show my best boxing in this fight, and it will be mine.
What do you think is your best attribute that you have kind of learned over the past couple of years or so?
Well, I think I have a really good boxing eye and good reaction time and good counter punching and a little bit of aggressivity as well.
All right. Thanks, Robert. And thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. All right. Our next question is going to come from Adrian Romero with CSI Sports. Adrian, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Hi, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good. So, going into this fight, Deontay Wilder is a big favorite. What do you have to say about that?
I like being the underdog.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
Well, it kind of wakes me up in a better way. I need to concentrate better, do better for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then going off of that, going into the ring with Deontay and in New York at the Barclays Center, do you feel any pressure at all?
Well, of course, if I wouldn't feel any pressure, it wouldn't be a really important fight for me, would it?
Right. Thank you, Robert. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Adrian. Our next question is going to come from Jim Conlon with RCB Radio Sport. Jim, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Hi, Robert. Robert, we all know about Deontay Wilder's punching power, and everyone that he's fought so far has hit the canvas, and the only person that's been able to get up is Tyson Fury. Are you sort of wary about that right hand over the top, and do you feel that you have it in your resistance to mount a comeback if you get knocked down?
Well, my plan is not to get knocked out. What kind of question is that?
No, if you took a punch and if you were knocked down, do you think you have that sort of inner resilience to take a blow from Deontay?
Yeah, it's a hard question to ask or answer. In that, I have no clue.
And Robert, what do you think are your sort of strengths that you can really hurt Deontay in terms of your own sort of weapons?
Well, I don't think I'm without punching power. So for starters, I'm tall. I have a good jab and good combinations as well. So more experience. I think that will be a key factor.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next question is going to come from Gail Falkenthal. Gail, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you, Robert, for doing this, despite it not being your favorite thing to do. You know Deontay very well, obviously. You've had a lot of time with him. You think that there is anything you've got, any trick up your sleeve for this fight that will surprise him without revealing what it is? Do you have a surprise?
Well, I think so. So I don't know how to explain it without revealing it. So you know.
But there is something in your toolkit.
Well, we have been training for this fight for a very long time, so of course we have made some tactical changes and some style changes in a long period of time.
We'll look forward to that surprise. Do you see the fight being more likely to go the distance or end before the final bell?
Yeah, I'm not good with predictions, but you know, it will probably. I can't. I have no predictions for that. Sorry.
Well, you always know what the fans like. Final question: is any of that beard going to come off before the 15th?
Yeah, I hope the New York Boxing Association or the commission. They said last time I have to take some off. But you know, we're Vikings. We have beards, so I don't understand the problem.
Yes, you do. We're glad to have a Viking in New York. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gail. Our next question is going to come from Ben Baby with ESPN. Ben, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Yeah, hey, Robert, thanks for taking the time to do this. You know, just actually want to take you back to 2016 when you had that first loss. And when you're coming off a knockout defeat and it's the first one of your career, kind of what's the difficulty in getting back in the ring or kind of moving on with your career, and kind of how did you overcome that?
Well, I think it wasn't that hard because, you know, like I said before, I was sick the week before and I didn't feel like myself in that fight. I would probably should have not taken that fight, but you know, I just kept working, training, and in my back of my head, I knew I should have won that fight easily. My boxing skills, so you know, of course, always a loss is difficult to come back from. But if you have the right mindset, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, apologies. I think I'm not asking about the Washington fight. I think it was in 2016 when he fought Johan back in Helsinki. What was the? I guess what was?
That was a harder fight to come back from. I didn't really want to come back from that fight, but I still kept training because I've been boxing all my life, and that was also a really comeback from my shoulder operation. I wasn't really fully there back then. We tried everything, but the physio from the shoulder was taking a long time, and I didn't have the conditioning to go 12 rounds.
What was kind of last one for me? Appreciate you taking the time again today to do this. What kind of, even though you didn't want to, you know, maybe didn't want to come back and that might have been tough, what was the biggest thing that kind of pushed you further to kind of continue your career?
Well, I think the love for boxing.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Our next question is going to come from Ismail Abdul Salam. Ismail, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Thank you. Robert, one thing I think people overlook with you is that you've shown a lot of personality in the ring. Even with the first Kornacki fight, when you won, you did a little victory dance at the bell. We know Deontay likes to also get a little theatrical in the ring. Do you expect a little bit of that in the ring when you fight him, being that you both are so familiar with each other and comfortable with each other in the ring?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Got it. I also wanted to ask you, you know, you're basically in the new era of the heavyweights. Like you mentioned, when you started, you were in there with guys like Sam Peter, Landon Brewster. Now we're in a whole nother era and you're fighting these guys as well and finding success. If you evaluate both eras, let's say when you first started and the heavyweights that you're seeing now, which era do you think is better and why?
Well, I think the era now is more diverse because back then it was only Klitschko who had the belts. So I think there's much more diverse, many more good heavyweights at this point. So it's a good time to be a heavyweight.
I agree. And last question for you would be, being that you've been in the ring before with Deontay, most people focus on the power. What would you say is the most underrated skill that you think people overlook with him that you saw when you were able to spar him?
Well, he's fast and unpredictable when he hit his right hand. So, yeah, that's like I think his best skill to disguise his right hand when it comes.
Thank you, Robert. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Ismail. Our next question is going to come from Michael Rueda. Michael, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thank you. Hi, Robert.
Hello.
You know, as you stated, you began your career back in 2010. We were knocking everybody out. You had your rough patch. With those 2 victories over Adam, did you savor that? Like, did you appreciate those victories so much more, knowing everything you went through from the beginning to that point in your career?
Yeah, it was, of course, but not too much though, because I'm in the middle of the road, so I have still a way ahead of me.
Yeah. Now, with this fight that you have here with Wilder, again, everybody talks about how you guys sparred together and everything, but what's the one thing in your mind that you know that you may have an advantage over him besides the experiences you stated with the amateur style? Just one thing that you feel that you could best him at in the ring.
A jab and footwork.
Thank you. All right, man. Well, good luck to you on the 15th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Michael. Our last question for Robert is going to come from Lori Hanshaw. Lori, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Hi, Robert. This is Lo Behind the Gloves. Like Ray said earlier, you know, where you spent time in camp with Wilder, you've learned his mannerisms in the ring. Is there a different mindset leading up to this fight as compared to previous fights where you hadn't shared the ring with your opponent beforehand?
Well, I think every fight is different and you have to come with different attitudes towards those fights, but the main goal is quite the same still. So I can't go around thinking that we're good pals when we're in the fighting ring. So that's for another time.
Okay, yeah. And lastly, do you feel like this will be your hardest test to date?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lori. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Ray Flores to wrap things up with Robert before we start with Deontay.
All right. Thank you very much, Andrew. And Robert, before we get ready to let you go, do you have any final thoughts for the media and for the fans as you get ready to embark on what is going to be a fabulous fight week in New York, the return of the Bronze Bomber against yourself, a massive heavyweight clash? It is a WBC heavyweight title eliminator next Saturday, October 15th from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Fox Sports, PBC pay-per-view, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time. Any final thoughts as we get ready for fight week, Robert?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've been waiting for this fight for a long time, so I've been preparing ever since, and I hope people are gonna tune in and look at the fight because it's gonna be spectacular.
All right. Thank you very much, Robert. I love hearing that. It is going to be a spectacular night. Thank you very much, Robert. And now I get ready to talk about a man who has been spectacular over the course of his career. 10 successful title defenses as the heavyweight champion of the world. He loves the Barclays Center, 4 incredible knockouts in Brooklyn. He's looking to become a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, a 2008 Olympian who owns a knockout percentage of over 91%. His incredible record, 42 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 41 wins coming by way of knockout. coming off of an epic trilogy with Tyson Fury. Every man that has stepped inside the ring with this man has tasted the canvas in one way or another. He has been training like I've never seen him before. He's extremely focused and ready to rock. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former heavyweight champion of the world, the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder. D, how are you, my friend?
What's up, Ray? What's up, Ray? You never fail to impress, baby.
You know what? I'm always excited to see you inside the ring because it's electricity and excitement and energy. As we are 11 days away until your matchup at Barclays Center, the return of the Bronze Bomber. Oh, how are you feeling? I mean, look, I've been watching the stuff on social media like everybody else, over 500 rounds that you put in one particular area. But what do you want to tell the public and the media?
Well, now I'm at 600 and some rounds now.
Wow.
But it's exciting times, especially for the heavyweight division. And I'm looking forward to October the 15th at the Barclays Center with Robert Helenius, and it's going to be an amazing fight. I must say, although we've been sparring partners for a very long time and we know each other in the ring, but don't make no mistake that when it's time to turn it on, we're both going to be able to turn it on and get a crowd a great fight, and they leave home with another memorable moment in time from me and Robert at the Barclays Center. So this is going to be amazing. I just can't wait. Training has been hard. It has been fun as well, and it's been interesting. I can say also, just the different traveling and locations as you've seen me from Vegas to Alabama, then back to Vegas, then back to Alabama. So it's been interesting times and exciting times for myself, and I'm just ready to go at this point in time.
Has that been good for you, Deontay, because it kind of breaks things up and it makes things fresher when it comes to training camp? Because make no mistake about it, when you're in training camp, I'm sure it could get a bit monotonous, and it's not necessarily the most fun thing in the world, but I feel like with you changing scenery, that it sort of revitalizes you and it re-energizes you in the heart and in the heat of training camp. Is that fair to say?
Man, you hit the nail on the head, Ray. It definitely has enlightened me as far as different things that are available for me. It's changing up the location as far as, changing the scenery, changing certain way we train. You can go many years, 10 years, 20 years of doing the same thing, and it becomes boring. It becomes where it's just a regular training. We're preparing for the next fighter. We're doing the same thing. But this time we changed up a lot, and it made it fun to train. It made it more exciting to train, especially switching locations. I made it my business to pick other locations in my pre-camp, and then I always got to come home and finish with sparring and stuff back in Alabama. But that's something that has been new to me, and I think we're going to stick with the regimens of that. That definitely have refreshed me being in the business of boxing, and I'm looking forward to displaying my thing amongst the 1,000 that will be there and the millions that's going to be watching.
Well, Deontay, I know a lot of the media wants to talk to you. I mean, they are lined up like you wouldn't believe, like how they're going to be lined up at the Barclays Center next Saturday, October 15th in Brooklyn. I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Roberts, who's going to be handling and making sure that the media has questions for you. If you have questions for Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, raise your hand and then go ahead. When we call upon you, unmute yourself and ask your question to the former heavyweight champion of the world, looking to become a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder. Andrew, it's all you.
Thanks very much, Ray. Appreciate that. Deontay, real quick, before we get started, is it possible to turn your phone horizontal, or does it need to stay vertical? Excellent. Thank you very much, Deontay.
All right.
We're going to open up our first question with Keith Idle, the boxing scene. Keith, please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Hey, Deontay, I was just wondering if you could tell us approximately what weight you plan to come in next week on the scale.
Somewhere between the 220s, somewhere up in that. Weight is not going to be what we worry about in this fight or fights in the future. We gained a lot of weight the last fight. Just others' expectation of seeing my body a certain way, and I was interested in seeing my body frame in a certain way as well. But at this moment in time, I go back to what I'm used to and what's comfortable to me, and what's comfortable with my body frame, and that's gonna be around by maybe the 220s or maybe under.
Deontay, I know why you went up in weight the last time, because you had talked about it a lot before the fight. Did you feel uncomfortable? Did you feel you were too heavy in hindsight, or how do you feel about being 238 for that fight?
Yeah, I felt a little sluggish, a little heavy. I mean, you got to understand, I never been 240 ever in my life before, but it was an experiment that I wanted to try, and we did what we had to do to get the weight put on there, and that's a experience up in the history books for me. So, the only way to become wise is applying knowledge to life, and we've gained a lot of knowledge from that, and now we know what to do leaning forward. So,
I just have one last question for you. During the process after your loss to Fury in the last fight, how close did you come to retiring, and then what was it that made you come back?
Well, I was like 85% out, maybe 15% in. I just felt like I accomplished so much. I've done so much within the business of boxing. I've achieved a lot, and I've done very, very, very well with my finances, to the point where I don't need the business anymore. The business need me, and it's a great feeling to be on the other side of the field, because in my percentage, 98% of fighters don't have nothing to show for once it's over. The only thing they have to show for is a medical history of bills and Parkinson's and speech impairments and the like thereof. The only people that really succeed and still go on to have things to show for, is the promoters and managers. They can go years and years. They can still support their children and still take their children and their grandchildren and support them, while fighters, have nothing to show for. Many times you have old school fighters that, back in the day, the only thing they can say is, oh, he was a great fighter. Back in his time, he was a bad man. But if you look at him and you look at his finances, he can't even support himself. And it's kind of backwards to me, because as the fighter, you are the product. You are what people are coming to see. And then without you, there's nothing, and that's how I feel about that. But what made me come back is being presented a statue. I'm still young, it ain't like I'm old or about to die. That's when people want to give you your flowers and say how great you are when you're retired, or when you're finna get ready to die or have died. And for me, it's not that case. I'm still young, and I was presented a statue. So all my accomplishments have been set in stone within a statue. And to see so many people around the world to come and join hand in hand and unite and commune with me and my children on me getting presented the statue, it made me feel great. And just to see so many men and women, share a tear, and men, break themselves down and tell their kids, this is a real king. This is what this is right here is motivation. This is encouragement right here. This is what you want to be like. And once I seen that, it just kind of made me feel like there's more to that I can do. I'm still young. I only want 3 more. I got 3 more years left in this business that I'm a take part in. And I just felt like it was more for me to do, because I inspire so many, because I motivate so many. And some people live by every word that I say, and they apply it to their life. And that's how you become wise. So, sometimes you have to see certain things, to really realize it, because I hear a lot of things, and I get messages from a lot of things, but it does your heart a little something different when you're able to see it right in front of your face.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Deontay, and thank you, Keith. Our next question is going to come from James Bell with the Boxing Source. James, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
All right, for Deontay, 2 questions. Going with the thing with your statue, you did say that, you had a lot of fans there in attendance for the unveiling, but you also, have fans that were able to, still go in there and see the statue. And like you said, motivate them to, become better people. So how is it to have that type of impact, not just within, your city and your state, but all across the country and all around the world?
I mean, it makes me feel very powerful, to know that I motivate so many, to know that I inspire, and to know that certain men, maybe even women, but I know certain men, take every word that I say, and some of them live by what I say. And it makes you powerful. It allows me to use my power for the greater good, though. I always love to see people do well. I always love to see people happy and at peace, because I always tell people I'm soaking in my happiness and my peace. And I want others to feel and see what that looks like, and I can only go off of my life and certain experiences, and I display it. I speaks about it. That's why people love me, because I'm straightforward. You don't get half with Deontay Wilder. You get this truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that's where I am. And it just feels good to be able to have so much to have so much power to motivate people, and to be the one that people even call on when they need certain advices about things. Whether they're poor or rich, I have all types of people call me for advice about different things, whether it's about life or whether it's about a certain thing to invest in, or any little thing. So it does my heart warm to know that people put my opinion in hand.
Yes, I've seen that firsthand with a couple of fans that have been there in attendance to see the statue. My next question is, with you being under the tutelage of Malik Scott, tell us about the familiarity that you and Malik Scott have had over the course of time that he has been your trainer.
Say that part one more time, please. You cut out on this side.
Okay. With you being under the tutelage of Malik Scott, kind of talk about your familiarity with you and him as your head trainer.
Yeah, man. First off, me and Malik had shared the ring before, and we was I met Malik back in the Poconos in camp, getting the Thomas Adamic ready for one of the Klitschko's, and that's where I first met Malik, and we clicked instantly, upon meeting each other, greeting each other. Our condos was right down the hall from each other, so. I invited him over. I invited his family over at the time. I cooked for them, and we talked, and it was amazing, and I'm on the phone, bro, and to be able to make him one of my head coaches, it was something that was a no-brainer, because I had him, and one of the managers business boxing to have people that trust around you, and that knows that person has your back, especially your coach, especially if he knows certain ways and certain things about you. I always buy by this saying, what's understood don't have to be explained. And with Malik, I don't ever have to explain certain things. He knows my body language. He knows sometimes how to complete a sentence, what I'm about to say, and that just comes with being able to come with experience of being amongst each other, loving each other, and going through certain situations with each other. And I love him to death, man. And I'm glad he was part of the team. Win, lose, or draw, man. That's my brother for life.
All right, great. Thank you, James. Our next question is going to come from Ben Baby with ESPN. Ben, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Yeah. Hey, Deontay, thanks for taking the time to do this. Coming off of, just really curious, when you come off the losses that you do, What's probably maybe the toughest thing mentally when you're getting back and you're training that you kind of maybe have to overcome or compartmentalize, especially for the career you had prior to the trilogy with Fury?
I think for me, I think everybody has a different opinion of how they feel or what they have to overcome. But for me, it's just being able to have the long layoffs and then just get back into training, because I wear many hats. I'm just not a fighter. I do so many different things. I run multiples of companies and stuff like that a lot of people don't know that I do, because I don't display it. I don't put it amongst the world, to know information about me, so for me, it's just getting myself back together, getting in shape, being able to figure out certain things that makes me happy, and just like with the training, I'm glad that we're able to switch up locations. That was something new for me that I've never done in my career as a professional, and to change locations, to be able to do different exercises and stuff like that, man. It made it refreshing for me, to find that love, that passion back into the business.
Were there any things outside of some of the stuff that you mentioned outside of maybe training or boxing that really brought you joy, when you were coming back from those Fury fights?
I was able to put time in for things that I was passionate about doing. For one, existed music. I've always been into music. I always loved it. And now that I had time, I was able to produce a song and do many things and so forth and so on. So it definitely has been refreshing for me to be able to have that time and to do certain things.
And last question for me. I mean, how much do you wonder or do you think about it all if you're the same kind of fighter you were before the trilogy? Obviously, I feel like that probably took a lot out of both of you guys. Has that been something on your mind as you kind of enter toward, this next chapter of your career?
That is to be continued. That is to be seen. I can only speak of what I've been doing now and what I've been doing in sparring, and I can say I look amazing. I haven't lost any steps or fundamentals or anything like that. If anything, I've increased. I've went back to the fundamentals of things and added some other things in as well. So I'm looking forward to displaying my talent amongst the thousands that's going to be there and the millions that's going to be watching. I think that a lot of people will probably be impressed. And a lot of people will probably say, oh, he learned this and learned that. It's nothing that I learned. It's something that I've always been able to do, but just applying certain things a little bit more than others.
All right, perfect. Thank you for those questions, Ben.
Yeah,
Our
man.
next question is going to come from Adrian Romero with CSI Sports. Adrian, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Hey, Deontay, hope you're doing good. So last time that you fought in New York was back in 2019. Are you excited about getting to go back there?
Oh, most definitely. I'm very excited. The Barclays Center holds something special to my heart. It's almost like a second home for me. All my most devastating knockouts, all my electrifying knockouts, and my most exciting memories have been there. And it feels good to be able to go back there and then add on to more memories. And October the 15th, looking to gain more knockouts and add to the history of Deontay Wilder at the Barclays Center.
Yeah, love that. And so, by that time it'll be over a year, since you last fought against Fury. Do you feel any pressure at all going back into the ring?
I don't feel no pressure at all. No pressure, 0%. I tell people all the time, I'm soaking in my happiness and my peace. And I do mean that. And with that being said, this reign for me is all about being happy and being at peace all the way through. I don't have nothing to prove to anyone. I've done an amazing job with my career, my accomplishments, and my finances. So, it's been amazing for me to the point where I have nothing to complain about. So with this reign, it's all about me being happy and doing the things that make me happy. Whatever we gain, that's a plus, and what we don't gain, then hey, it wasn't for me. It wasn't meant for me. But what God has for me is for me, and we're gonna take it as that.
Perfect. Deontay, thank you for those questions. Adrian, our last questions for Deontay are going to come from Ismail Abdul Salam. Ismail, please unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thank you. Deontay, when we spoke with Robert earlier, he mentioned that he's looking forward to trying to match your showmanship, which was a little surprising. So I wanted to know, when you were sparring with him, did you get any of that showmanship that we may have not seen in the ring yet from him, as far as like his personality?
You said the showmanship?
Right. He feels like he can match you as far as, like, the taunts that you've been doing, some of the knockdowns you've had. He feels he can match that. So I'm wondering if you've seen any of that in the sparring that you've had with him, because we've never really seen that from him in the ring.
Well, with sparring and doing something where it actually counts is two different things. Sparring, a lot of guys, in sparring it's more practice. You can quit, you can call timeouts, you can, many different things in sparring that you can do that you can't do in a physical fight. So, if Robert feels that he's going to be able to match me, then, you have to take his word for it until proven wrong. Robert is a great guy, him and his trainer. We love when they come down to Alabama. We always show them love and Southern hospitality, as they show us the same, coming from Finland. So, it's no animosity, no hate between us. And I would love to see him match the showmanship in the ring. I think it'll bring more excitement to the fight. And I never faced him in these situations of where it counts. So who knows what it's going to bring out of him. And we all know that when fighters fight me, they train the hardest that they ever trained in their life, and they bring their A++ game in the ring. So we'll see what happens. I hope he be able to match me and bring that much excitement as I'm going to bring come Saturday night, October the 15th at the Barclays Center.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that, Ishmael. Thank you to all the media that joined us today. And thank you very much, Deontay, for your time as well. With that,
man, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you. With that, I'll turn it back over to Ray Flores to close things up and get Deontay's closing comments.
Deontay, just want to get your final thoughts, as we're a little over a week and a half away until you make it to Brooklyn, Barclays Center. You talked about those spectacular knockouts. You talked about what you're looking to do, 3 more years in your career, and then that'll be it. But, the second part of your career, I feel like it begins next Saturday, October 15th. What do you want to tell all the fans and the media, as we are 1 week away from fight week?
Man, to all my fans and everyone that's been supporting me and sending love, man, I want to say in the bottom of my heart, I love and respect everyone. I appreciate everyone. October the 15th is the return of the king, and I'm looking forward to coming back to my second home, man. And it does my heart warm. That's why I'm smiling. I'm all smiles, Ray. This second reign is really going to be filled with a lot of joy and excitement for me and those that love and support me as well. And here I am, bringing back the heavyweight division as far as the excitement is concerned. And I'm looking to put on great fights, like I've always have seeked and have done. It's not going to stop with me. I only want to put in 3 more years, Ray. By the end of 40, we don't have to be guessing about Deontay Wilder. We don't have to assume. You hear it from the horse's mouth now, because a lot of media, they rather be first than being correct, especially when it pertains to me. But you hear it right here from me. I only want to give it 3 more years to the end of 40, by me turning 41, and then I want to be done with it. I want to pursue other things that I have set for myself, and I want to enjoy the rest of my life with my children, and build for this for this generation wealth. So here we go, guys. October the 15th. I can't wait. And you already know, when Deontay Wilder's finna get ready to fight, I'm gonna have you on the edge of your seat. You don't know what's gonna happen, but when it happens, bam, baby, good night. So you don't want to be the one that say, what happened? And the other person say, you missed it, and you have to look on the projectron and see what happened. Be there, be ready, be in your seats, grab your food. Don't let nobody distract you. Stay focused and pay attention to what's going on, because it's going to be a great night of boxing come October the 15th, baby. And I can't wait. Until then, love, peace, and God bless. And always, let's do it. Bomb Squad!
Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody. We'll see you in Brooklyn for Fight Week. Take care. D, always a pleasure, my man.
All right, Ray. I'll see you later, brother. Peace.
Much love, my man.
Yeah, baby. Likewise.